From Draymond ruining the Warriors' chances at the championship to showing signs of remorse over the whole pool incident, here's how Draymond Green ruined an NBA dynasty. Well, where do I begin? Golden State's stats this season are proof that they've had trouble staying focused and consistent, and there's only one person to blame. A lot of us believe that they were probably just relaxing, after last season's exhausting championship season. The true Warriors would show themselves once the playoffs started, right? Not quite. You know the classic phrase gradually, then suddenly, used by Ernest Hemingway to describe bankruptcy? Yeah. Sometimes it also describes how sports dynasties die. Enter Draymond Green, a guy who's been demonized and is usually misunderstood. With his play and podcast, he causes just as much trouble in his own locker room as he does in one of his rivals. After all, he single-handedly kept his team from winning a championship. And now, on top of everything else, he's costly and old. And yet, his contribution to the Warriors dynasty is just as important. How does this even happen? You see, the NBA draft helped the Golden State Warriors create their dynasty, as they selected players like Stephen Curry, Harrison Barnes, and Klay Thompson in the top 10, but they also managed to score some gems in the second round. Enter Draymond Green, who served as the group's go-to player and de facto leader on and off the court, and was undoubtedly their most famous second-round selection. Simply put, if it weren't for him, they wouldn't be where they are now. And I say this with both a negative and a positive connotation. That's what makes this whole thing so weird. Green has been essential to their success, but he's also to blame for their recent failures. Things don't appear as promising as they did at this time last year. Why? Well, Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, the Warriors' trio of elite players who have served as the foundation of those 4 championship teams, are all in their mid-30s. Thompson is eligible for a contract extension, but it's unclear if the Warriors will make him a satisfactory offer. Green will be a free agent after this season, and there's widespread suspicion that his time with the Warriors may be coming to an end. It's weirdly appropriate that everything keeps coming back to this guy, a terrific player who was destined for the Hall of Fame, but who has a history of engaging in behavior that's self-destructive. For instance, Green was suspended from Game 5 of the 2016 Finals after striking LeBron James in the nuts. The 73-win Warriors, who held a 3-1 series lead, lost the championship to LeBron's Cavaliers, who won Games 5, 6, and 7. Green was also in the spotlight before the start of the season when a video of him punching guard Jordan Poole during a preseason session was leaked. Now, the Warriors have been plagued by that incident for the entirety of this lackluster season, and Green once again finds himself in the worst possible type of spotlight. Plus, the league's rather remarkable admission that Green's Game 3 suspension was partly due to his history of unsportsmanlike acts was also controversial. This admission proves that the league is tired of Green's antics and will now hold him to a different standard of on-court conduct going forward, which is a big shift from their behavior. You might remember the lengths they'd go to keep their star players happy, but there's a limit for everyone, right? A little birdie tells me that Green is in denial, though. On May 13th, 2023, when the Lakers defeated the Warriors in Game 6 of the second-round Western Conference Series, it didn't take long for fans to start wondering how much the Warriors still had in the tank after they sputtered out of the postseason. Lo and behold, Draymond Green offered his opinion on the dynasty of the Golden State, which has been suggested to be past its prime. Yep, the player responded to those who claim the Warriors dynasty is over, with a 2-word comment on an episode of his podcast, The Draymond Green Show. It's not. According to him, only those people say these kind of things who've never been a part of a dynasty themselves. Did anyone catch that shade? Oh, by the way, the Golden State forward did not hold back while expressing his annoyance with the new collective bargaining agreement that the NBA and Players Association recently agreed upon. He claims that because of new CBA restrictions, the Warriors will be the NBA's last dynasty. On another episode of his podcast, the veteran highlighted that he thinks the new CBA rules signal the end of dynasties in the NBA. Green's major complaint with the new CBA is that it has a second salary cap apron that prevents teams with over $17.5 million in luxury tax revenue from signing taxpayer mid-level free agents. This offseason, the Warriors are predicted to fall into the second apron category, which will prevent them from strengthening their roster to try to win the championship again. The 33-year-old has the option to forego the $27 million contract remaining on his deal in order to test the free market this summer. Let's not forget, Green's future was in doubt since last offseason, when the Warriors signed big money contracts with Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole. Particularly considering that it happened soon after Green hit Poole in practice, this was the first indication that the Warriors might be getting ready to part ways with the problematic player. So when asked about his unclear future with the franchise, Dre acknowledged that his time with the Golden State is probably coming to an end. He called it the writing on the wall. Let me tell you, he's not wrong. According to current estimates, the luxury tax threshold will be $162 million in 2023-24, and the wage cap will be $134 million. In other words, just by paying Curry, Thompson, Poole, and Wiggins, Golden State will have greatly exceeded the cap. They'll be hit hard by the luxury tax even if Green decides to leave and sign elsewhere. The Warriors have demonstrated their willingness to spend lavishly, but considering their cap situation and the repeater tax, Green might be onto something, and the team might be forced to dismantle their dynastic core, after all. Now, during the regular season, there were speculations that Green might leave the team, but it appears like he's dismissing those rumors on his podcast. In an episode of the Draymond Green Show, Green said he wants to run it again with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I must say, throughout the playoffs, Klay Thompson also lacked his signature style, particularly in Game 6 against the Los Angeles Lakers. Despite this, apparently, he's more than determined to bounce back alongside Steph and Dre and bring back that glorious trio. Honestly, it's his word against anyone else's. But considering he's a magnet for being in the news, who knows how long he's got until the Warriors let him go? And will any other team be brave enough to step up and take in this guy? Let's not forget he's learned nothing from all the past controversies, suspensions, and fines, because most recently he got into a kerfuffle in the game against Sacramento. It's no secret that Green is a fierce competitor who always plays just on the right side of the line between what's acceptable and what's not, but more often than not, crossing it. In the fourth quarter of the playoff game, he stomped on Sabonis, a center forward for the Kings. Green was dismissed from the game for the stomp, but the league didn't discipline him further. To be fair, before the step, the Kings center did grip and hold Green's leg, but this guy needs any reason to unleash the monster within him. It's these very antics because of which fans believe he's ruined the dynasty. If you remember, his beef with Kevin Durant got real ugly in the locker room too. This was way before the Poole incident, but it happened because Green went unchecked for so long. At the start of the 2018-19 season, a verbal altercation that escalated between then Warriors teammates Durant and Green had a similar effect on the team. It spilled over into the locker room and threatened to undermine the team's camaraderie. In the end, Durant and Green were able to mend their relationship, and the Warriors continued playing. But in his 15 years in the NBA, Durant claimed that he had never witnessed a guy get punched the way Poole did. And well, Draymond Green acknowledges that the Warriors' title prospects were killed by that punch, and had he not punched Poole, the Warriors would still be in the game. Is that regret, remorse, introspection? Whatever it is, we haven't seen it coming from him, especially considering how the team let him go with a slight slap of the wrist. According to experts, that punch ended up being the last nail in the dynasty's coffin. Because despite the incident taking place before the season began, it was what led to the tension in the locker room and led to the team's division. Green acknowledged that the tension between him and Poole negatively impacted the Warriors' on-court performance to the point that it kept them from winning. So, from the hot-headed star showing first signs of remorse over the whole Jordan Poole incident to him ruining the Warriors' chances at a championship, that was how Draymond Green ruined the Warriors dynasty.